Well, welcome everybody. If we haven't met yet, my name is Kevin Ross and I am the Pacific Northwest District Chair, and you are currently tuned in to the Wilsonville District Event Team Briefing. And it looks like we're going to get started here in just a moment. If you will excuse me indulge me for 1 second, there's we're loading the trucks, by the way, right now to go to Oregon City, and there's somebody waving at me with, I think, what might be a question. I will be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Right. So on the line with us is John Jennings, who is the event coordinator from Wilsonville, and we thank him for all of his hard work getting this organized. Wilsonville is one of the better organized events that we've got, and a lot of that falls upon the great leadership that John is putting into this. And you should all thank him the next time you see him in person. He's doing an amazing job as an event host. So with that, let me proceed on. This is a webinar. We're going to move through this fairly quickly because I know many of you have heard this, some of this information before. You are muted. There are enough people on that it's difficult to have everybody have their own mic control. If you have a question, there's a little hand that you can raise, and we'll keep an eye out for that. And you can also type questions into our questions box. Would love to be able to answer any questions that you might have. We will be posting both a recording of this webinar and the slides that you're looking at online. I'm going to try really hard to get to that a little bit later tonight, but it may not happen until tomorrow. The agenda for tonight sort of looks like this. We're going to do spend some time talking about the very specifics for this particular event. Parking, buses, food, those load in, load out, those sorts of things. And then the second half of this presentation is a little bit more about the generalities of being part of a district model event. It is maybe a repeat if you've been to one of these before. We will not be offended in the slightest if you would like to drop off after we get through the site-specific things. We don't want to take up any more time than we need to. Okay. First off, let me say that there are a couple of tasks for you to do before you arrive, and we have a website that we need you to visit. You'll need to visit this website for each of the district events that you're going to. So for each event, we need very similar information, and we appreciate your indulgence in filling out the form twice. But there are enough teams that have changes between events that it's important for us to collect the information twice. And let me just show you that real quick. We have a website from Washington First Robotics. If you go to FRC and you go down here to District Model on the main menu and go, whoop, I lost it, and then go over here to check in. If you click on that, there's a short form. We just need your lead mentor to fill this out. We're looking for the person who is going to be on site and will be considered the main contact point between the event organizers and your team. And we would love for you to be able to fill in your important details, specifically a mobile phone number so we can get a hold of you in the event of emergency. Pick the Wilsonville High School event. Give us your team number, how many students and mentors, and whether you need a pit table or not. We're not providing you a pit table unless you specifically ask for one. So please let us know either way. Very important for that. And then we would like you to acknowledge the fact that you're aware of the 3-inch wheel diameter rule. We'll be talking about that at length later. So we appreciate your getting to this as soon as you can. You're welcome to fill it out while I'm talking. It's a really quick form to fill in. The other thing, while I've got the web page up here real quick to call your attention to, is under the FRC menu, under District Model, there is a supplemental rules document. This has been sent around a couple of times now, but if you have not read it yet, we highly recommend you do. It talks in great length about the supplemental rules about cart, wheel, and floor protection, some things about the pits, electrical power rules, and really important for you is the equipment that is required for you to bring. We would appreciate your bringing this equipment. You will have an unpleasant weekend if you don't bring your own power cords, for example. So please check that out and follow those instructions. We appreciate your help in doing that. The last thing I'll just show you real quick is that if you go to FRC District Model, and if I come down, there is a page dedicated to the Wilsonville District event, and it has the public schedule and then the team schedule. So you're welcome to check that out. You can also find your place in the district ranking, the district point ranking system by clicking on the link on this page. This page will be augmented in the next day or so to include a link to this briefing and the food order form that you'll need to use if you'd like to order food in advance. All right. Whew. That was a bit of a fire hose. Hopefully that went well. Let's go back to the slides here. Before we get into the event details, I will take this opportunity to make sure everybody's aware of the robot access period. You are involved in what's called a 2-day event or a district model event. You may access your robot, as in take it out of the bag and work on it for 6 hours. And you should be able to start 6 hours the Thursday prior to your event. Okay, so this is your final build day. If you are an FRC veteran, this event does not have what you would call a lot of time for doing those final build things. So the whole idea is that you get to put on all of your withheld material in the comfort of your own shop. You can use the inspection sheet that was sent around. There was a link sent to all Pacific Northwest District teams a couple of weeks ago. It has the inspection worksheet. Your team should go through that worksheet and try and pass inspection on your own. If you do that and you're satisfied that you've passed inspection, your day on Thursday will go much better. All right? Please verify that you're understanding the rules. It's section 5.6 in the administrative manual. I'm going to let you interpret those rules as they're written, and they're actually quite straightforward. The key thing that you need to realize is that if you're planning on bringing 45 pounds of withheld materials with you on Thursday to mount on your robot, you are making a big mistake. That is not what Thursday is about. Thursday is about you showing up with your robot in a completed state, ready to pass inspection and ready to run. There is not a whole lot of time on Thursday for you to be making changes to your robot. That is why you have this robot access period. We ran the event last week at Auburn Mountain View up here in Washington. It ran very, very well, and actually most of the teams did a good job at adhering to making good use of their robot access period. We didn't have a whole lot of teams needing to make major changes. The only major inspection issues we had were a couple of teams who were seriously overweight. How that happened, I don't know. They should have been a lot closer than they were. And then there was the usual, there were some wiring errors and a lot of bumper issues. Please be sure to read the rules about the bumpers and interpret them correctly. Don't try and skate by or don't try and interpret the rules in some legalistic way. The rules are pretty clear cut, we think, and the inspectors are making you adhere to those rules to the letter of the rules. So be sure that you understand the bumper rules. You want to do that work at your house, at your school rather than at ours. Okay, beat that dead horse. That's one dead horse, boy, I tell you. But I'm going to bring it up later. The other thing you need to realize is that this event will be powered by a generator. So the pits are being run off of a 36 kW generator. There are limits on how much power you can use. It's about 400 watts per team. More specifically, somewhere in the 18 to 2400 watts per power alliance, we'll call it. And we originally were going to put 6 teams on, but we're probably actually only going to put 5 teams on a single shared 20 amp circuit. We had no issues whatsoever with teams using too much power at Auburn Mountain View. In fact, we were surprised at how little power the teams were actually using, which is good because we'd like to conserve as much power as we can. Having said this, don't plan on bringing compressors, like multi-horsepower motors or compressors or big banks of incandescent lighting. You should be thinking much smaller than that. A lot of teams had LED lighting that actually ended up working out really well. Compact fluorescents. There were a few incandescents around, but they were well in their power budget. The gym itself, where the contest is being held, we are limited to the amount of power that we can draw, and it turns out that the combination of the field this year and the audiovisual equipment that we have is going to consume all of the power in the gym. So don't plan on using any outlets in the gym. In fact, let me be stronger than that. If you use power, if you plug something in the gym, we are likely to confiscate it and give it back to you sometime on Saturday after awards ceremony. We did it once at Auburn Mountain View, and that sort of got the word out. So please, 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 please don't plug anything into the gym outlets. The field and the AV system are going to consume all of the power in the room. As in, we actually had power issues at Auburn Mountain View that we had to recircuit some stuff. So thank you so much for your cooperation on that. We really appreciate it. All right. Willie is asking, the Thursday agenda for Wilsonville is closing at 9 p.m. Willie's asked a great question about what time the gym actually closes, or the pits actually close. I believe the pits close at 10 p.m., Willie. She's pointed out that somewhere it says 9 p.m., and I will look into that. Willie, in the background, if you wouldn't mind telling me where you saw that, I will see what I can do about getting that corrected. We intended there to be 5 hours for the teams between 5 and 10 p.m.
I have it closing at 10 p.m.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. All right. Oh, well, that isn't the slide I was expecting. That's always exciting. Oh, well, that slide actually, okay, hang on a sec. We'll come back to that slide later. This is the slide I intended to use. So where are we going? We are going to Wilsonville High School in beautiful Wilsonville, Oregon. It's actually really a nice school. I visited a couple of times, and it's in a really nice area. So I'm excited to be able to come down and spend some time there. So it is southwest of Portland a little ways, and that's kind of generally where you're headed. When you arrive at Wilsonville High School, this is an aerial map, thanks to John Jennings and Error Code 0. When you arrive at Wilsonville for the first time, you'll be coming in and following this loop right around the front of the school to drop off. I would expect that there's going to be actually a line of cars all the way across this area over here. We expect you to arrive, at 5 o'clock, maybe a few minutes before. Please don't bother coming too early. Actually, definitely don't show up before 3. The school is still in session, and you can show up 4:30 on if you want to start unloading a little bit early. We're not going to let you into the building till 5. It takes us a couple hours to set up the pits for you, so don't expect to come in to the building until 5 p.m. John Ice, for robot drop-off, are they actually allowed to park in the school parking lot on Thursday night?
Not really. Well, Thursday night is fine, but Thursday during the day, there's no parking anywhere, and Friday during the day, that's another tall pole in our tent.
Yep, absolutely. And this is not uncommon. We've got several events that the school will be open on Friday, and we're going to get to that in a few minutes. But if you are dropping off your robot, you are allowed to come up here to the front and load in. The pits are actually in this building, the building with the widest roof on the lower left. So it's pretty direct access, and you should drop your things off. You please don't park in this drop-off lane. You should staff your vehicle appropriately so that you can unload, and your driver can take the vehicle away immediately. Don't park and go inside and start setting up your pits. We will. That's not gracious and professional, and it will reflect badly on your team. So on Thursday at 5 o'clock, if you can find parking out here in the front, that's okay. You can probably also park around the side here, and I will show you a slightly zoomed out map and show you where another parking lot is available to you. Okay, that is not the case on Friday. Friday's parking situation is much more complex, and we'll be getting to that in just a moment. So this is for Thursday only, this little drop-off loop. Okay, any questions about that so far? Let me check the question box. Is there a place to park a trailer so we don't have to drag it back and forth? Great question. Great question, Tina. John, is there trailer parking over at Mentor Graphics?
I believe there will be. In the letter we're going to send out to all the teams, we will detail that.
Thank you so much for that. Folks, just in general, don't plan on parking a trailer on site on Friday. If you can avoid it, if you can take your trailer home, you don't need it on Friday. You can bring it back on Saturday. Saturday, the school parking is available to us, so we can use it. But in general, it's kind of it's tough to bring the trailer in on Friday. Now, I realize some of you are traveling or staying places. Maybe you can talk to your hotel, find out if you can leave your trailer at your hotel, or maybe you could take it home with you and just bring it back on Saturday. That's what we've been telling everybody at all of the other events. Okay. Hang on one second. Somebody has asked me. Thursday is the 20th. Thank you so much for that. Yes, March 20th is when you're dropping off. 19th is not when you're dropping off. So that the date on the map is actually wrong. So no worries. All right. So on Friday, let's talk about Friday's parking. So on Friday, what you should do is you can. What time should they arrive on Friday morning, John? After 8?
After 8 is fine, except for the volunteers. We're expecting there at 7.
Yeah. So volunteers will be there at 7. So if you're a badged volunteer, that's great. School is open on Friday. So what we need you to do is don't show up. What time does school open? Does anybody know? What time does school start?
They're going by 8. Okay.
So everybody raise your right hand and follow after me. I pledge not to show up before 8 a.m. The reason is that the indigenous population of students will be arriving between 7:30 and 8, and if we are about to double the population of the high school. So it would be really awesome if you would not arrive on the school grounds before 8. It's just going to cause an enormous traffic snarl. You all are involved in high schools. You know what it's like. You know, as school is loading in for the morning, it's usually kind of pandemonium. Imagine doubling that at your school. So let's be respectful of the school here. Let's promise not to show up before 8 a.m. So at 8 a.m. though, you may enter, and I'm going to go back one slide because I think the same slide still is applicable. You can come in and you can drop your students off. Drop your team off, drop your supplies off, and then you're going to head to an off-site parking facility. So the reality is it'd be great if you could just send one driver to the off-site parking facility. That way we don't overload the bus on the way in. So come in, drop your students off at 8 o'clock. The pits are not open before 8, so getting there early is really no win for you. And then you're going to, one driver will proceed over here to Mentor Graphics. They were very gracious in offering us use of a large section of their parking. That looks like it's about 1.5 miles away. Is that right, John?
That's about it.
Yep. And and I'll show you where to park in Mentor Graphics. But so you're going to go back out on South Wilsonville Road, and I believe that's headed north, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then take a left.
Up to Beckman Creek.
Yep.
Take a left on Beckman Creek.
Yep.
And go down to Mentor Graphics, and a right-hand turn into Mentor Graphics. We're going to have somebody down there with a jacket on, so you'll be helped.
Yep.
We have 500 parking places. I don't think we're going to need that many.
And once again, thank you so much to Mentor Graphics for helping us out with that. This is a huge relief for the school, and solves a very big problem. If you have multiple drivers, if you have multiple vehicles, that's great. We have a small shuttle bus that is going to be making round trip circuits all day long, and so it'd be best if you could drop all of your supplies and such off, and then let one person go back to the parking lot and then ride our bus back. Hopefully that makes sense. I've got a couple of questions on the same thing.
Actually, that's public transportation, Kevin. We have a bus that's going to be going by there every 15 minutes to pick them up, and it's about 5 minutes from that field to the high school on board the city bus.
Oh, it's a city bus. Okay. Do they need to pay?
It's free.
It's free. Woohoo! All right. Can we park one car per team closer than Mentor in case someone needs to run out for parts or food? Dale, I think that's a completely legitimate question, and I'm going to back up, and I'm going to tell you that the school parking lot is going to be full. It's full of students. It's a high school. You know how it goes. They've asked us not to park on site. If you can legally and respectfully park closer and walk in, that's up to you. We have no control or say. If your car gets towed, there's nothing we can do to help you. I suppose if you wanted to try and find on-street parking somewhere, you could probably do that. I mean, this is a fairly heavy residential area. We have no control whatsoever over on-street parking. Okay. Jeff is asking, is it always free parking, or do we need some sort of first ID? John, is it always free?
Nope, it's always free. Great.
All right. Marcia is pointing out that buses arrive between, on Friday arrival, buses arrive between 8:15 and 8:30. It will make coordinating arrival more challenging. I believe she's. Are you saying that your buses arrive at 8:15? Yeah. So I think John, I'm going to back up one more time. If they're bringing in school buses, are they following the same loop?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So your school bus is going to follow this same loop, and they could probably go find a place to park in Mentor Graphics, although bus drivers, if they know they've got several hours, usually tend to congregate at some Starbucks or Safeway or something, and I think they play poker or something. I don't know what it is they do all day long. I'm kidding. I have no idea what they do. All right. Update on Mentor graphic map is needed. Okay. We will have, John, we're going to need to probably, we learned from Auburn Mountain View, we probably need to have somebody on site that has a short and easy to follow map, printed map to hand out to people who are not exactly sure where to go.
Okay.
Yeah, we learned that at Auburn. We had the same thing at Auburn, by the way, folks, so this isn't unique to Wilsonville. All right. I think we may have belabored parking and arrival to death. Now, if you are coming in on Saturday, you are, of course, allowed to park on the school grounds, and here are the school grounds, by the way. There's parking around the front of the school. I think if I click off here, there we go. There is parking around the school. You can see these parking lots. There's also, if you don't go in the main entrance but go north one street, there's another set of parking stalls up in this area. So there should be decent parking on Saturday. Having said that, carpooling is awesome. Buses are awesome. Please do your best to minimize impact. If you're going to try and park a trailer on Saturday for loadout, do us a favor and try and find a spot that's farther away, and try to consume as few parking spots as you can. We really appreciate that. How am I doing, John? Have I missed anything on this one?
No, you're doing fine.
Great. All right.
That's actually that campus you were showing there is Beckman Creek Elementary School.
Oh,
right next to the high school.
Right next to the high school. Got it. Thank you. All right. So there's our Mentor Graphics lot, and be respectful of the fact that they also have parking needs. So they've been very gracious in giving us these large areas of parking. Please don't, if that fills up, please don't start consuming their parking spots. That would be bad form. Okay. This is, well, okay, so this is the logistics for arriving on a bus in Cheney, but you're not interested in that. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened to the slide that I had. But we already talked about the buses, so I'm just going to move on here. John, so food-wise, I believe there's concessions on Friday and Saturday?
To be honest with you, we are still working that issue. There are not going to be concessions, but we're working on the ability for the teams to pre-order box lunches. That's not been settled yet.
Okay. No worries.
That'll be part of our mailer that we're going to send out to everybody.
Outstanding. And thank you for doing that. So our wonderful site host and event coordinator are going to send out a note to everybody about the food options as soon as we know what they are. So some things changed. Getting a food ordered in a rural setting like this is a little more challenging than you might expect. Having said that, you are allowed to bring in your own food. The cafeteria area, the commons area, will be open for lunch at 1 p.m. Remember that before 1 p.m. there are classes in session on Friday, and actually the student body is eating. What I think their lunch is at 11:30, if I'm not mistaken.
They should be clear by 1 o'clock.
Yeah, so you'll be able to eat out in the cafeteria about 1 o'clock. You may bring in your own food and water. It's a great way to save some money, if you, or you can order the sack lunches. Please clean up after yourself. We've promised all of our schools that we are an amazingly well-behaved and clean organization of fine and gracious professional people, and that we would not need an abundance of janitorial staff to keep cleaning up after you guys. So please help us out with that. We appreciate it. Helps keep the costs down for everybody. Okay. So you'll hear about food updates as soon as we hear about them. All right. Thursday when you arrive, so I guess let me back up here. John, have I missed anything in particular about your site that you wanted to bring up?
No, you did just fine with this. Just please, nobody wants to use Wi-Fi when they're here. I think you already touched that once. Yeah. So Wi-Fi is verboten. It just make sure and shut off all of your Wi-Fi devices. And we have security measures in place. We have equipment that scans for Wi-Fi. And we had to shut down a whole bunch of people on Friday at Auburn Mountain View, and nobody was being malicious or anything. It's just that a lot of people came in and turned on or had their Wi-Fi devices on and may not have even known it. So if you can please avoid that by shutting it off ahead of time, we appreciate it. And also connecting to the school's Wi-Fi, please don't. It really isn't there for public consumption.
Okay.
It's going to be turned off anyway.
Oh, well, there you go. See, look at that. All right. Let's talk about arriving on Thursday then. So Thursday, 5 p.m. is load-in. Safety glasses are mandatory for being in the pits at all times. We are sticklers about that rule. So please bring your safety glasses. They need to be accessible to you before you enter the pits. Please follow the instructions of the on-site volunteers. Our volunteers are awesome. They have put in numerous hours making this whole thing run, and they have their assigned roles, and we have assigned procedures. So even if the procedure seems weird to you, it isn't weird to us. We have a plan. We've been planning this thing for a while, so please go along with whatever they ask you to do. We'd really appreciate it. Again, no parking in the loading area. If you're going to unload, somebody has to stay with the vehicle and depart as soon as you're able to. As soon as you're unloaded, somebody should drive away with the vehicle. You should bring a cart to carry stuff. It is a bit of a walk. And again, those 3-inch diameter wheels are really important. I can't remember. Did I go over that already? No, I didn't.
Kevin, I have one other remark for them.
Yeah.
When they're running their carts up the loading ramp to the auxiliary gym there, please have 2 people on each cart. It's a kind of a steep ramp, and I don't want any carts getting loose and running down the hill too fast.
Absolutely.
So 2 guys on each cart.
Yes. I'm all about education. This is the wrong time for a physics experiment. Okay, we're going to talk about carts in about 2 slides, and there's some very specific rules. If this is your first event, very specific rules for you to adhere to. Okay, and remember on Thursday your goal is inspection, and we'll talk about that quite a bit as well. Now, load out is basically the inverse of load in. Again, no parking in the load out area. If you want to load out during the elimination rounds, you're welcome to. Some teams who have been eliminated choose to do that to clean up their pits early and then come and relax and watch and cheer on the other alliances. Pretty straightforward. At this venue, you'll be able to load out and then go back out, park out in the immediate parking lot. Let's talk about wheel requirements. So this is new, and these are official rules. They are enforceable by FRC. All of our venues are in high schools, and so we have to do some creative cabling in order to get power to the correct places. To keep it safe so that nobody trips and to keep it safe so nobody damages either our equipment or theirs, we're using something called yellow jackets. They are black with a yellow cover, and they're about 2 inches tall, and there are ramps on both sides. So your wheels, your carts, anything that rolls over those things need to be able to have some ground clearance. Our rule is that you need at least 3-inch diameter wheels, and this is for many reasons. One is for the cable humps. The other one is because the smaller wheels end up putting too many pounds per square inch on the floor. And remember, you are on somebody's very nicely manicured basketball court. So we have a floor tarp that goes down, but you can still damage a floor by putting too much of a point load on it. So 3-inch or larger diameter wheels. Now that I've told you that, those are our rules. Here's some experience. The teams that had 3-inch diameter wheels still had issues getting over the cable jackets. If you're welcome to bring 3-inch wheels. We will not exclude you. If you still need to make that modification and still have the ability, I'm going to suggest 5 or 6-inch wheels. The 3-inch wheels were tough to get over those cable humps with. Bigger diameter wheels are just going to roll over those better, and so that would be my suggestion. The maximum weight of your cart so that you don't damage the floor is 50 pounds per inch of wheel size. So if you have a cart with 4 3-inch wheels, you can have 4 times 50 times 3, which comes out to 600 pounds max. That's actually quite generous. Most people don't have toolboxes much heavier than that, but we will be enforcing that. Under no circumstances are we allowing wheels less than 3 inches onto the gym floors. We will and did last week stop a whole bunch of teams, and they had to come up with alternate methods for dealing with their cart situation. We are going to be really sticky about this, so you've been warned. And no steel wheels. And, you know, if you've got, like I do, one of those Husky toolboxes with the cheap, you know, 3 or 4 inch black ABS plastic wheels on the bottom, you know, the ones you roll them across the floor, and if any bit of gravel or even a flat washer will cause the cart to stop and the wheel to drag, we may not allow you into the building with those. So please make modifications to your carts if you need to, or your toolboxes. Our floor coverings are 14 mil thick, which is quite thick for a tarp. They're nice heavy-duty tarps. However, they won't endure several hundred pounds of toolbox dragging a nut or a bolt across the floor. So there you go. That is all I got to say about carts. I'm going to just check real quick to see if we have any questions. We've got, will queuing be, let's see, there's 20th. Oh, whoops, I'm looking at the wrong end of the list. Somebody has asked, so we can't create hotspots for hooking things up. No, if you read the first rules, they're very explicit. You are not allowed to start a Wi-Fi hotspot or use Wi-Fi for communications around the field. So it turns out that in the past we've had problems with teams that have brought in their own Wi-Fi equipment and caused blocking problems with our radios. So no, you are not allowed by the first rules, and this is a generic first wide rule to use Wi-Fi. Sorry about that. I know that this is it's a very, very common request, but that is the case. All right. That's the only question at the moment, so off we go. Whoop. All right, previous. Now, Thursday is robot inspection day. It is not final build day. I belabor this point a lot, but turns out it worked well, so I'm going to keep doing it. We are expecting you to show up with your robot ready to play, or at least ready to pass inspection. So don't if you're coming expecting to put on your 45 pounds of withholding, you're kind of making a mistake. We really, really expect you to show up, be ready to play, be ready to be inspected, and move on. These are short events, and that's how it goes. The robot access period was your final build time, all right? When you show up, we expect you to get into the inspection line right away. There's only 5 hours to get everybody through inspection. That isn't a whole lot of time, so please get yourself in the inspection line right away. We need to know, you need to know right away if there's going to be a problem that needs to get fixed. You don't want to wait. It's a real common mistake for teams to figure they've got a couple of hours before they need to get into the inspection queue. That is not the case at these events, all right? This is different than what you've done in the past. And be sure to ask for help if you need it. It is, my team asks for help. I ask for help, so you should feel good about doing that as well. In general, lower numbered teams generally have a little bit more experience than some of the other teams, but I wouldn't rule out help from anybody if you can get it. All right? Come on, computer. My computer's getting really slow these days. I should buy a new one. It's for the children, right? Okay. Thursday, pits open exactly 5 p.m. Don't enter the building early, even if you find an open door and there's a door wedged open and you find you can traipse your way right on in. Please don't. We're really not ready for you until 5. We have a lot of work to do to set up the pit area in only 2 hours. Because school got out about 3. We started unloading the truck about 3. For us to have to mess around chasing teams out, because teams inevitably come in, they stand in the way. So please just don't bother coming in, even though you can find a way in. And you must have safety glasses on your face when you do come in at 5 p.m. Okay. Now, in general, here's the mantra for the year, for going forward. Actually. We want you to do less better. Just do a better job at less stuff at these events. These are small events. These are most of them are 32 to 36 teams. We are in much tighter quarters than you've been, say you've been to Portland in the past or one of the Washington events. These are much smaller than those, and so there isn't an enormous amount of room. Plus, you're not really there as long. You're there for about 2.5 days. So, you know, kind of factor that into your plans when you're going to go to this event. And so, you know, think about traveling maybe a little bit lighter, a little bit leaner. We still want you to have your pits. And there's a lot of Oregon teams that have amazing pits. So still plan on doing those, but maybe you could cut out a few things because, you know, if you may spend up to, you know, 5 or 6 or 7 hours setting up your pits, and then it turns out that you're there for a day or so, and then you're going to have to take it all down and pack it all out, right? So think about it. By all means, express your team, express all the hard work and planning and design effort that they go into. But by the same token, you might want to not bring quite so much stuff. Along with that, yep, hang on a second, back up. So when you do show up at 5 p.m., somebody needs to register, and so you need to bring your TIMS forms. You need to have that printed roster and consent forms, signed consent forms for anybody who has not filled in TIMS. So appreciate you're doing that, and that just makes life go a lot better. You also need your robot lockup form. Every event, somebody's going to forget it. It's like clockwork. It's amazing. We really need you to bring that stuff with you. It's time-consuming for us to process it if you don't. Who to bring on Thursday is a really interesting question for you. Of course, we want your drivers and your co-robot builders and your lead mentors. I think that is an excellent choice. There's going to be, you need to pass inspection, and there might be a driver's meeting. You know, there's stuff for you to do. Now, depending on your team's logistics, Thursday in general is just not a really good spectator day. So if you have non-robot related team members and you have the logistical ability to have them come on Friday, we really recommend that. We're going to be setting up the field probably till 8 or 9 o'clock at night. There's nothing happening in the gym. There's really nothing for them to do in the pits. And the pits are going to be a little bit tighter than normal. It's just, they may get bored. Now, if your logistics are such that you're traveling and you need to bring them, awesome. Bring them with. We will welcome them with open arms. We're not turning anybody away. But just a little heads up, if at all possible, you can leave the auxiliary folks at home. That's probably a good move. Definitely don't invite spectators to come on Thursday. There's absolutely nothing for them to see. Your spectators should come, say, around 10:30 on Friday. That is probably a good time for them to arrive. All right. Stacy was saying, if we bring extra team members on Thursday, can we offer them up as volunteers? Stacy, you are now at the top of my list of favorite people ever. Yes. We should be able to make use of some student volunteers. It's common at FRC events for students to take charge of a few things, say the helping out at the practice field, helping out at the safety glass inspection station, helping us clean up. We oftentimes will grab a few students if we need help in the main gym setting some stuff up. So there are lots of little opportunities for them to volunteer. So if you think that you've got students who would like to come a little early, say at 3 o'clock, and they'd like to register, allow me to show you how to do that just really quick. A little divergent here, folks, but just so you all know how to do this, there's a website called volunteer.firstwa.org, and it's nice and clean but a little bit terse at times. But you can create yourself a new account, and it'll ask you a whole bunch of nice questions. I'm going to use mine because mine's already filled out. Your students are certainly welcome to sign up in here as well. Once you've created your account, you can go to events and pick an event. Let's pick the Wilsonville event, and I can select to volunteer, and there are many different roles on here that they can choose. Actually, I'm about to unmute somebody. I should have made her a panelist anyway. I'm about to add Drew Patterson, who is our volunteer coordinator. She's about to become a panelist with us. Hi, Drew, are you there? I'm going to unmute you. I think I'm going to unmute you.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can.
Okay.
Where do you need help?
Yeah, we do need a few volunteers. We don't need a whole bunch, but we definitely need a few people to help set up. So it'd be great to see some new names come, and we'll assign them.
Absolutely. We'd love to have them. You know, part of the district model is that we're distributing the knowledge and the workload around the entire Pacific Northwest on how to do a first event, and part of that means getting new people involved, and we'd love to have. It's a great way for students to get involved. We will sign their community service hours if they would like to. It is gracious and professional to help out. We need help out with everything from. Do you need field resetters still, Drew?
I do, yes. We need about 4.
Yep. Field reset is right. Field reset's awesome. It's right in the middle of the action. They'll be down on the field. They'll be helping to reset the field, move balls around, do that sort of stuff. Great position for an energetic, say, 17 or 18-year-old, or even a 16-year-old. It is a long day, but it's fun, and they are contributing directly and having an impact on everybody in the room, and so that's really a great position. Where else do you need help, Drew?
We also would like every team to consider taking a shift with the safety glass table, and also to sign up for the practice field. Sort of serve yourself. I'm not sure if I'm saying it the right way.
Yeah. So what we need is we need attendants to man the safety, or for the practice field, we need people to sort of administer the wait list. We need teams to sort of help act as field resetters and to sort of keep track of where all of the parts are, and to also graciously and professionally help teams recognize when they've been on the practice field for too long. Queue management and those sorts of things around the practice field. Great job for a group of students. And you can do it in, say, 2 to 4 hour shifts, and then we can transfer the duties off to another group. That would be awesome. If you've got students and if you're in the local area who would like to help with setup and teardown, how are we doing on setup and teardown? Maybe I should ask first, Drew.
It's about the same. We have some volunteers, but we don't have all that we need. So, that'd be another thing that they could sign up for. I think the biggest need, Kevin, still is we're looking for some people who are really good with video cameras or audio equipment to do our AV stuff.
Yeah. So let me put in a plug for that real quick. So we are going to stream this event live on the internet. To do that, we have invested a substantial amount of money, actually, in some very nice equipment. We have 3 high-def cameras, actually 4 because I'm going to be at this event. I will be bringing my wireless camera. It's all professional-grade equipment, and we have a very nice video switching system. So there's opportunities if you've got kids who are really sort of into AV stuff. That would be really cool for them to sign up. So they can, when they go to enroll, they can sign up for the AV crew. They can also sign up as the audio and video, or I guess we have a video lead. We're still looking for somebody to help with the audio mixing board. And honestly, if you've got extra students, we'll take more than the 3 that we've got allocated, because it turns out it's a pretty long deal running the cameras. So if we end up with 6 or 8 of them that could do it in shifts, that would probably help keep their attention span. We learned last week that their attention spans tend to wander a little bit after about the 5th hour. We will train them how to use all this equipment. But we're looking for responsible students who can pay attention and not get distracted by too much, and feel like they can do a good quality job. Okay. It also looks like actually setup and teardown, you're looking pretty good, huh?
Yep.
Okay. So once again, you know, this is all about starting to spread the knowledge on how to run an FRC event to other people. So, okay, I think I will move on. Is there any other particular? Actually, you're looking pretty good for volunteers. Just scanning the list. Do we still need a first aid person, or are we good?
You know, we had a lead on one, and I'm not sure what is happening with that. So
We've
got somebody on the 1425 who's looking for.
Okay, and we can take a student or a set of students that have Red Cross training or Eagle Scouts, that sort of stuff. Could also sign up to help us with the first aid station. All they need is the ability to hand out Band-Aids and a cell phone that knows how to dial 911. All right. Oh, and there's the coveted MC assistant job is still open. The MC assistant job is they will be helping the Master of Ceremonies by arranging the flags and all of the various things that that teams bring down to the field to get waved around. So
we have Peter Feynman for that.
Do we do? Okay. Then I take that back. Peter hasn't signed up yet, but we will get. Maybe we can get Peter in there, huh? Okay. I think I'm going to move back to our presentation so we can keep going here. All right. So also veteran teams, if you can bring some spare parts, specifically bumper material. This is probably the first event for about half of the teams at this event. This will be their first time through. And so bumpers are a perennial problem at all first events. So if your team has some extra material or maybe some lengths of 5-inch wide, 3/4-inch plywood that might be, say, 32 or 34 inches long, they wanted to sort of throw in the back of the car just in case somebody needed it, they'd appreciate it. Also, being that this is a week 4 event, the truck has already been to several events. The spare parts bin starts to dwindle right about this point. So if you've got some stuff that people can't run over to Home Depot to get, things like motor control units, Talons and Victors and Jaguars, or some of the other hardware items, if you just wanted to bring a little stash of that, we're not asking you to give those things away. You would be loaning them to some teams. But you would probably make another team's day and be very gracious and professional if you could manage to do that. And also, some of the teams will be new, as always, and they inevitably have issues with programming. So we would love to see that. Okay. Machine shop will be on site. Let's see, this is Wilsonville. I think Brocco's bringing it down. So we have a machine shop that has a small mill and a lathe. We have a TIG welder. It'll be outside in a tent. And our trailer will have a tent next to it all set up. So you'll be able to help out with that. Or they will be able to help you out. The machine shop is really there only for the machine shop staff to use. So you're not going to be able to borrow any tools or whatever, but they're usually pretty good about helping you get up and going if you need some help. Okay, so that is there. Come on, computer. There we go. So Thursday, you've got 4 steps for inspection. Size and weigh, get your control system inspected at the CSA station. They'll make sure you have the right firmware versions and such. There'll be a physical robot inspection in your pit. You can sign up immediately at 5 p.m. for that. And then at least once before the event starts, you need to go out and connect your robot to the field. That's really important that you do that. A lot of times there are very simple reasons why we can't get you to connect, but it takes us time to diagnose. And if we had to, say, reflash your firmware, that actually consumes time. So please get it out there and do that early if you can. Okay. There we go. And as always, especially for second-year teams or third-year teams, It's really rare for a team to pass inspection the first time. We'd be tickled if you did. You should consider that an enormous badge of honor. But most teams, there's something wrong. Please get inspected as early as possible. You do not want to put that off to the end. That's really important. All right. And then connecting to the field, we're going to drag your robot out in whatever state it's in at some point and get you to connect to the field. So we're going to try and do this using practice matches. Those will be 8:30 to 10:30 on Friday morning. We are actually, this time we are not going to schedule practice matches. There isn't enough time to really schedule them, and we found in Auburn Mountain View that nobody made their scheduled appointment, and it became sort of more of a pain than it was worth. So the new theory is that you will go out and get in the line. We are going to have you will have the ability to go tell the queuer that you have not been on the field yet, and we will pop you to the front of the queue if that's the case. They will actually have a list that they'll be checking. Teams who have not played yet get first crack, and then it's a first come first serve line. We need you to definitely be out there and have connected to the field before 10:30 a.m. Okay? Sounds good. Let me check the questions real quick just to be sure there aren't any. And all the way down to the bottom. Okay. And then I know I belabored this once, but I'm going to belabor it one more time. For those of you who have done FRC before, I hope now you've seen that there's 5 hours for you to pass inspection. And there's very limited time for you to practice. This is different than what you've done before. Different in that you no longer have Thursday as a final build day. It is now pass inspection day. So keep that in mind. Use that robot access period to its fullest. Make sure that your robot is ready to go for inspection when you show up. And for goodness sakes, don't be bashful at all about asking for help if you're stuck with something. There are people around who probably know the answer. Okay. Yes, Stacy's asking, does practice round queuing apply to Oregon City as well? Yes, we're changing all of our events to not bother with scheduled practice rounds. It really didn't work out at Auburn Mountain View. If we had like an entire 6 or 7 hour day, it would have worked out better. But we're going to do it. And by the way, I won a $20 bet on that one. I bet the FTAs that scheduled practice rounds would be a flop. They went for it and it flopped. So I got my $20. I'll be splitting a nice barbecue with the FTA carry when I get there. Okay, end of Thursday. Thursday, we're going to end at 10 p.m. We need to be out of the building at 10. So that means about 9:55 we're going to start strongly encouraging, if not towing you out of the building. The volunteers have been there for a long day already, and they all need to be back by 7 o'clock the next morning. So, and you do too. So let's do your best to get cleaned up and be ready to go. The power is going to be shut off to the pits on Thursday night and Friday night. So if you need to take batteries, if you need to charge batteries, you'll want to take those home with you. We'll make that announcement when you get on site as well. All right. With that, we've got, I want to thank everybody for attending. I'm hoping that this was useful to you. We have a really amazing set of volunteers who have put in an enormous number of hours to make this all go for you. While I was talking, actually, we had a dozen of them just loaded up both trucks. We have 2 trucks. They are now fully loaded, sitting outside of our facility here. One heads for Oregon City tomorrow morning at 7. I have to come back and meet the truck at 7. And the other one heads for up north tomorrow morning. So we're really excited about it. We've filled a 53-foot semi to within a few inches of the back. It's full of carpet and field components and admin supplies and all of that stuff. So we're really excited to be able to bring this to you. And we really want to thank John Jennings and his entire staff for the Wilsonville event. It's very, very well organized, and I think it's going to be a great show for everybody. With that, I'm going to take a few more questions, and then we'll kind of wrap up. Bob's asking, are the pits 10 by 10? Yes. Your pit is a 10 by 10 space. If you actually read the rules, I believe it's 10 by 10 by 10. It's a cube. Although we don't usually deal too much with teams who go too much vertically. But however, 10 by 10 in the XY direction is very important to us. Please don't exceed that. You will be bringing your own power cords to this event. Check the rules. You need to be bringing a 15-foot, or 15, 20-foot somewhere in there, and a 50-foot somewhere in there, in order to plug into the power supply that we've got for you. The power supply turns out to be a single outlet of a power strip. Is really, I don't want to over glorify it, but your 5 teams will be sharing that 20 amp circuit. Okay. Any other questions? Well, outstanding. Adrian, is there anything I forgot?
Not anything that I can think of.
John, is there anything else that we need to bring up?
No, I'm fine. We're just going to send out that letter next week, which will give the details, the parking and the food and so forth.
Outstanding. Drew, are you good? I'm going to assume Drew's good. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, and we will see you in a couple weeks.